Next, we're going to use our lining piece to seal off, to close up this top bit here, and to close it all up around here. So what we're going to do, and this is going to be a little bit hard to show you on video because you really do have to sort of look at it and feel it and see yours yourself. But we're going to, as much as we can, fold the lining and the front of the bodice back to wrong sides together. Now you won't be able to get it all the way around there because you have you've got the armhole sewn up, so it's not going to let you do it very nicely. But as long as you can do it enough to get into to line up this whole line here, so you don't need to be able to sort of see all this bit. So if you can see where this is all kind of pulling in, that's fine. Just leave that there. And you can keep sort of pulling it out as you're sewing to get to the bits that you need to sew. So I'm going to line it up and I'm going to pin it on just shy of where I've sewn my zipper. So I can see on the good side of the fabric the line that I've sewn my zipper onto. I'm going to pin it just closer to the seam allowance than that. So that means our lining is going to have a tiny bit more give in it, which is a good thing. Now when I get down to where my, you can see where this is the seam that joins the bodice onto the skirt and where we folded it up, I'm also going to fold up the bottom edge of my lining piece. And it's actually quite good if it's folded up and sitting slightly lower. If you can see that sitting ever so slightly lower than where that seam is, that's actually a good thing. You don't want it too much lower, but a tiny bit lower is great. And I'm going to make sure I've got that pinned, so from the other side it is pinned in place. And that's all I'm going to have to sew for this bit. So I will do, oh, and I should have also pointed out, we are going to be sewing up beyond, so you can see where we sewed the zipper to, we are going to be sewing up beyond that to close up this bit too. So you can pin up to there if you would like to, or just remember to keep sewing it up. Okay, so bring my machine back. Hopefully this is getting on camera okay. I'll move the camera a little bit for you. I can keep using my zipper foot here because I am still getting quite close to my zipper. I've got my zipper opened at the moment. Now I only need to sew because the lining is only attaching to the, sorry, I'm losing my mind for a second. The lining's only attaching to the bodice piece. So I only need to start sewing from just below where the bodice comes there. Pull that pin out before I sew over it to start with. I really want to make sure I don't sew past this line, otherwise I'm going to actually sew my zipper. I don't want to sew onto my zipper. I'm just closing the lining into it. You'll probably hear it if you go over your zipper. Possibly you break a needle as well. Hopefully that's picking up on the camera and my hands aren't blocking it too much. Apologies if they are. So remember I said you can sort of keep pulling that out as you need to sew it. So see the bit that you're working on. Don't worry about all of this being bunched because we're not actually sewing that at the moment. As long as you know that this bit that you're about to sew is laying out flat for you, that's all that you need. Okay. So I'll turn out this side so that you can see. We're obviously going to repeat this on the other side as well because we've got two sides of our zip. But I'll turn this out so you can see, and I'm also going to fold, as I turn it out, I'm going to fold this corner. You could go and clip that corner, but another thing that works just fine is to fold it one down and the other side down too, and you actually hold that as you fold it, and that will help pull that corner out as a nice point. So I've pushed that corner in first, and I'll go and pick up that little corner that I've just pushed out like that. Oop, I've just seen a mistake I've made. I'll show you that mistake. It's good to make mistakes because we learn from those. Okay, so you can see I've got a nice corner finishing that off, and as I mentioned, I'm going to put a little button up there to close it off. The mistake I made was that I needed to actually bring this end into my seam because I don't want that sticking out. So I'll need to go and fix that up. So I'll just demonstrate quickly how we're going to do this to the other side as well. And I'll show you what I mean by this. So I can maybe pull away and unpick a tiny bit of that. And this needs to go in closer to the edge so that it's going to go off and into my seam. So I could unpick a little bit of those stitchings as well. So remember, we're going to fold this over right sides together. And close it all off with the zipper on the inside of them both. And we're going to pin it down flat. This time I'm going to pull this out a little bit so that it goes off into the seam before I pin it in. And this will make it sit much nicer. Pinning it all the way down, and I'm pinning just shy. It's going to be very hard to see that stitching line because I've happened to stitch on the white bit of fabric there. But I'm pinning just shy of that line in terms of closer to the edge of the raw edge of the fabric. So more into the seam allowance. And I don't want to stitch right over that because I might actually hit the zipper and then the zipper won't work. So when I get down to here, I'm folding up the edge of my lining and pinning that in place. So I'll sew this one up. You don't need to watch it being sewn again. And then I will fix up that little bit from the other side, and then we're going to finish off the bottom of the skirt. So I think that's all I need to show you for this video. Actually, I'll pause it so I can show you what it looks like when it's all turned out. So I'll be back in a moment. So that's all fixed up now. You can see where at the top it's nicely stitched in, and that bit's going into the seam now. And so now we can zip it all up. Got a couple of loose threads there blocking my zip. There we go. And as I said, I was going to put a little button at the top of that because I wanted to, I needed to have it lower down so I can have a cute little button, and that can be a cute feature even if your zip is long enough for you to start with. And now what we're going to do is, well, there's a couple of things. I probably will start by seaming up this last little bit down here. So that means that I need to fold my skirt inwards like this, and I'm going to add a seam here. Now this is now going to be raw edges of fabric. Mine's on the selvage, but still it is raw edges of fabric. So you actually would need to, once you stitch this up, overlock this seam. So we haven't been having to do much overlocking because everything's going to be lined and hidden within the lining. But in this case, we do want to now overlock it. Now remember, I didn't actually sew over the very end. I stopped where the zip stopped here. So I'm going to push that out to pin this bit closed, like this. And then I'm going to seam all the way. I'll change my presser foot as well. I'm going to seam all the way to the end. It's nice and easy because it's on the grain of the fabric, so it's not pulling in any funny ways, which is one of the reasons I recommended doing that nice big rectangle piece to start with. And of course going and picking off my loose threads. So sew this up, overlock these raw edges of fabric, and then our next step will be closing this off with the lining before we do our hem. So that is actually all for putting in the zip once we've closed off this bit. So I'll leave this video here and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.